quills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning everybody, and I'm sorry for this rather ropey start here from, well, this is the southwestern fringes of Kenya at the moment. You are watching Through the Spotlight of God, Safari Live.
Ready.
Standing by.
Five, four, three, two, one. You are live. You are live.
Is that not the most astonishing picture there as the clouds break and the East African sun shines through like sort of some divine spotlight onto, well, what's got to be one of the world's most beautiful landscapes. My name is James Hendry. You're watching Safari Live, and we'd love to hear from you. Hashtag Safari Live is how you talk to us. That is on the tweet. And with any luck, you can send us your questions and comments without any further technical glitches. Why are we starting here on the faceless person talking to you? Well, that is because we're just having a few technical difficulties today. We've got Baron driving down in South Africa. We've got Brent Leo Smith knocking about somewhere, I think, near the kitchen at the moment, and Scott on his way to the northern parts of the Mara. So let us head now down to South Africa to the great Baron Serau.
Guys up on Chantal, I don't think he's far.
Is it lower down? Good morning, everyone. And we have just got into this area where Vula had this porcupine kill yesterday. And have a look. He did hoist it into the tree. And I'm having a look around, though, to see if he is still in the area. I don't see anything just yet. But good morning. Again, my name is Byron, and on camera with me is Ashton this morning. Just us out here in the Sabi Sands today. And then, of course, we've got the crew in the Mara this morning, which is fantastic. It's quite a chilly morning, very cold here. You can see gloves, beanie, all sorted, scarf. So I wonder if this leopard is still in the area. I cannot see him. Now, last night, though, we had a lot of leopard calling, not far from camp, but I could hear a sawing leopard walking around for most of the night. I'm not sure if it was in Vula, it possibly was, but I'm just having a good look around to see if he isn't perhaps lying in the grass somewhere. So yesterday while we were sitting here, he did decide to, well, he was looking up in the tree, but he didn't hoist the kill while we were sitting here. And but with him looking up, we assumed that he might just do so, and it looks like he did. So I don't know if a hyena possibly came and interrupted him while he was feeding. The stench from that porcupine was quite strong yesterday afternoon, so that probably would have carried and attracted some hyena. And maybe that's why he decided to hoist it into the tree. There's actually nothing left, just a few quills and skin that's left up there at the moment. But I would like to see if he isn't around here somewhere. Occasionally leopards can go and lie down in areas, and I mean they can be very well camouflaged, but I don't think he is here, to be honest. I don't think so. I'll have a little look around. Let me just drive around here a little bit and just see and scan the area properly before we decide that he's moved off. But I think he has. Not much left of that porcupine kill. We caught a glimpse of a hyena earlier that was walking through the thicket, actually heading in this direction. I'm not sure if it would have get out here, but Marco, no, I haven't got a flat tire from a half-eaten porcupine. Fortunately, not from driving over the quills. Let's just have a look here. Seb, just watch the branches. Okay. Oh, it would be great if this leopard was still lying around here somewhere, but I think he has moved off. Alright, well, I'm going to see if we can't perhaps find any tracks of this leopard and see which direction he went. I'm not sure what time he left here yesterday, but while I do that, Scott is out on a vehicle in the Mara and he's found some striped animals he'd like to show you.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Masai Mara. It's a cloudy day, quite cold, but exciting prospects. My name is Scott, I'm teamed up with Dave and we are heading out in search of a coalition of 5 male cheetahs. We've got quite a long journey in order to get there. We actually have to cross the Mara River and enter the Mara Reserve through a gate which is just below the leading balloon. So we're going to do probably about a 30-kilometer trip to drive through the gate, which is somewhere in and amongst those buildings you can see. And then from there we'll be heading in the same direction that the balloons are slowly floating in, down to the south, in the hope that we can get some great action with those awesome 5 male cheetahs. What a beautiful day it is. And we're actually just on the fringe of the reserve here. We're not in the reserve, we're looking down into it. And it stretches many a kilometer as far as you can see. What a wonderful place to be able to call our playground. Well, I'm wishing Byron good luck in tracking down old Mvula. Lots of happy memories spent with that male leopard. When I arrived in Djuma, he was actually the first male leopard I ever saw. And that was on Gowrie Cutline and Buffelshoek Cutline Junction. I'll never forget that day. And he used to be very dominant in and around Djuma. He was the main man for the first kind of 6 months that I was there, and then he slowly started moving out and Tingana started moving in. Okay, it's rush hour here. Woohoo! Okay, well.
Hello everybody, I'm just echoing in my own ear. Now I muted myself. We are at one of the main crossings. Now, we had a spectacular time here yesterday. We watched probably, I don't know, it's impossible to count. I'm going to say 4,000 or 5,000 wildebeest. I said 10,000 yesterday evening, but I'm not sure that I can count that high. So 4,000 or 5,000 wildebeest crossed this raging torrent. Well, sort of raging torrent that is the Mara River. You can see that it is full of silt because I think there's been a lot of rain in the catchment area over the last little while, and we watched 4,000 or 5,000, like I say, wildebeest crossing this river. A spectacular view it was, and not one crocodile. Now I was postulating about that being possibly as a result of a lack of or the river moving too fast. And then I chatted to Steph afterwards and we read a paper together, and he said he thought that he'd read that once the temperature of water drops below a certain level, crocodiles' appetites and their ability to feed disappear. And I wonder if the increased rain here combined with a relatively chilly ambient temperature yesterday didn't perhaps result in the crocodile's less than enthusiastic response to the crossing. Thousands of creatures, we watched a yellow-billed stork, managed to get across this river without any form of harassment from the crocodiles. So it was quite a cheerful crossing, actually. Stacey, you want to know if I ever cross the river? Stacey, I don't cross the river. No, not if I can help it. Cece, sorry, not Stacey. Cece, we can get across the river at only a very few crossing points. We don't swim generally because crocodiles like us as much as they like wildebeest. There's a point on the Tanzanian border called the Purungat Bridge, And if you were to pronounce that in Afrikaans, you'd say Purunghat, which is quite just an amusing way of saying it, really. Then there's another crossing point that Scott is about to go over now, which is outside the reserve, and there's a sort of ford over there that has a causeway across it. There's a big bridge at Purungat, but otherwise, between those 2 points, which are probably, I'm just looking at a map now, I'm going to say, as the crow flies, about 30 kilometers from each other, so about 20 miles or so. I'm going to say that other than those 2 points, there are no crossing points. There is one ford, apparently, that is possible to get across if the river's very low, just below the crossing that Scott's going to go across, but I've yet to try and get across there. So otherwise, that's how that happens. You see, there was a second part of your question, which I've now forgotten as I look at the beautiful little spur-winged lapwing in the background there. Do the animals cross over the bridges? Yes, they can. So the top one, the Purungat bridge at the bottom, near the Tanzanian border, they don't. No, there's an Egyptian goose. They don't cross there because, it's raised, and I suppose maybe one or two must have crossed it at various stages, but no, they don't use it as a matter of course. They tend to go across the river. I mean, there are many crossing points here that, but for the crocodiles, you could get across this river. It's not like crossing, let me try and think of an enormous, it's not like trying to swim the Zambezi, for example. If you were to try and get across the Zambezi and where the white water is raging, then it would be almost impossible. You would almost certainly drown. But here, it's really not like that. The danger is provided by the reptiles. Alrighty, we're going to head back now across to Baron, who seems to be driving. Please ask him why he has got a woolly hat and a cap on. I don't understand.
Now, we had a look around there, and James, I did get off the vehicle and have a good look to see if we can find any sign of that leopard, but it appears as if he did move off, and my theory was correct. It looks like hyena did come in and try grab some of the kill, and they managed to get some of the stomach contents and drag it around a little bit from that porcupine, and but the leopard has moved off. So we'll have a look around and see. I'm not sure exactly what time that happened, but as I said, about 10 or 11 o'clock last night, I heard a leopard calling, that territorial sawing sound that the leopards make. Not that close to camp, but it sounded like it was moving around. So maybe we have some luck and find a leopard later. But these impala, really beautiful golden lights this morning sunrise, morning light that we've got at the moment. Very, very nice. And the only thing that is left that I could find, the remains of the porcupine kill. Have a look at these beautiful quills that we got, that I found. Look at that. Very, very nice. Beautiful. Almost got one stuck in my leg. Now, what I wanted to show you, hold on. Michael, now you keep dropping his calls. You asked about that leopard sawing, and if it was Tingana, so I'm assuming you're asking, if that leopard sawing was Tingana, do you think Mvula moved to avoid confrontation? Very possibly. However, I think Mvula moved because that kill was finished. I don't think it was to avoid confrontation necessarily. You know what, from where we are, so from where our camp is, from where the kill is, we basically down in that direction, a few kilometers in that direction. So that sawing that I heard sounded like it was coming further east of the camp, or north and east of the camp. If it was Tingana and he was heading this way, it didn't sound like he was heading this way, but if it was, there's a big possibility that Mvula would have moved, because generally what happens is leopards try to avoid confrontation because they are solitary. So if they happen to get into a fight, if one had to be harmed, then they are unable to hunt for themselves. So leopards generally avoid confrontation. However, big males can get into serious fights, and I've seen it before. Often what happens is The leopards will move and they'll walk. They basically walk in a line next to one another, up and down, and it's a display. They bare their teeth, they salivate, they scent mark, they growl, and all of that is to try and push the other competitor, I suppose you could call it. They try to push them away without actually getting into a conflict. However, at times it gets a bit too tense and the males do end up fighting. Now, it's a very vicious confrontation. These two males, I've seen it before, males run and jump and basically hit one another, and they bite and they scratch, and when they're lying on the ground, they start tearing at each other with their paws and their sharp claws. It's a very, very vicious act, and it's amazing how they don't get more injured from time to time. Usually they'll stop and the loser will move off. So they try not to actually kill one another. Oh, I suppose if they could kill one another, they would. But generally, it's more of a show in the beginning. One away before that final result of a fight. Now, James, you asked if a hyena would crunch on porcupine quills. I don't think so, James. I don't think so. There are no nutrients or anything in there for them to feed on. So I think that's why in this at that little spot, these quills were lying all over the show. I don't think anything would want to feed on them. Now, what I've done is I just wanted to show you. Now, this bottom section over here, this is what sticks into the quills, the white tip, stick into the skin, and then what happens is, and we spoke about this the other day, let me show you. So the porcupine will basically walk around with the quills like relaxed, and then when they feel threatened, they'll contract the muscles, the quills will stand up, and then what happens is they reverse into whatever predator, and then these sharp spines will, and as they penetrate whatever predator it is, if you look at this, as they penetrate, it'll pull out of the skin, and then that quill will stick into the predator. You see, so they release very quickly, just like that. I actually think that was a wonderful demonstration of how the porcupine quills work.
Yes.
All right. Now, Brent is also in the Mara at the moment, so it's not James and Scott, not just James and Scott, but Brent too, and he'd like to say good morning to you.
Well, morning, and welcome to the marvellous Masai Mara. Sorry about our tardiness this morning. Peter was bashing some gremlins on the head with a number 19 spanner. He seems to have done that. And we're out on a slightly chilly, cloudy, but nevertheless wonderful morning in the Masai Mara. My name is Brent Smith. I have Jandre on camera. And if you want to get hold of us, ask us any questions about this wonderful ecosystem, you can do so by using the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Now, it's an all-boy affair this morning. So Scott, Byron, James and myself out exploring, and I can see some vehicles up ahead. I think there might be some lions just down the road, but my main focus today is not the kitty cats at all. No, siree. I decided today we're going to go look for where that large herd of wildebeest went. So those who were watching yesterday saw that incredible crossing narrated by James. I want to go see where those wildebeest went. No, it is not lions. It looks like a flat tire. There's people outside of the vehicle. There's a flat tire, so we're going to be bypassing them on our way. So we're going to be heading down towards the south and try pick up, well, hopefully we just see the herd from a distance. If not, we can do some tracking. Tracking thousands of wildebeest is much easier than tracking one lion or leopard. So hopefully we will be able to do that. Okay, so this is the area where the Agamas were yesterday with Scott. We've got some a good Moro to make up girl. As you can see, I don't have any makeup. not yet anyway, although Final Control do keep trying to put makeup on us. But Makeup Girl would like to know, is this reserve fenced? Not at all. It is a completely open system, and to the east and north of us are what we call conservancies. So those areas you will have wildlife and the Maasai and their cattle all living harmoniously. However, down where we are here, this is the National Reserve. So the cattle are not allowed into this part of the reserve, but there is no, what horrible English, there are no fences between the communities and the reserve. So no, not fenced at all. Okay, hang on, we're just going to scoot by these vehicles and practice some Swahili while we do. Habari asubuhi. Poa poa. Poa sana. Asante sana. Just making sure everyone's okay. It looks like they're actually waiting for someone to come. It looks like they're maybe waiting for people to jump off a balloon safari. But there we go. Ooh, yay! As I always like to do, and I haven't actually had a really good opportunity to do some birding properly just yet. So I think maybe while we search for the wildebeest, we're going to do some birds. Now, we have shown you this guy before, and he's, oh no, don't fly away. Oh, he's flying. And they're very often sitting on these balanites trees in this area, but it is a black-breasted snake eagle. There we go. Now, of course, they don't exclusively eat snakes, but they are quite fond of snakes. Now, one of the adaptations snake eagles have to be able to grab onto snakes in the grass is they've got massively overdeveloped sort of almost like scales, but obviously it's thickened skin on their legs, which enables them, even if they do get bitten by something like a puff adder or a black-necked spitting cobra, it's very unlikely that those fangs will be able to insert themselves through that thickened skin that almost comes across as scales on their legs. Now, the black-breasted snake eagle is definitely one of my favorite birds that we see quite frequently in the Mara, and I will definitely be keeping a lookout for a few others. Now, fortunately, where those wildebeest went down to the south, there is a bird I've been dying to get on camera. We've nearly got it a couple of times, and it is a very big tick for a lot of birders in Africa, and that is the rosy-throated longclaw. Very beautiful bird. The back is all very drab, looks a bit like a lark, and then as it turns, it's got this bright pink throat. Sorry, let me just let this vehicle go past us. There we go. Is that one, or is there two? No, only one. Okay, let's carry on. Oh, and it sounds like Master Henry is having a birding day from the River Kimes. Let's go find out what he's got.
Well, what we have there, everybody, yes, indeed, is a sacred ibis. And lots of martins flying around. I think they're just emerging from their mud nests. The sacred ibis is what we call a probing beak. You can see it probing into the mud there, pulling out worms. Delicious worms for breakfast. Mmm. Very nice. Sedges, purple pan weeds, that sort of thing. Liz, you say have we got to explore any of the insects and things in the Mara? Liz, I must confess that my tree, insect and just general small stuff knowledge of this place is very poor. And that is because we just don't spend any time on foot here. We can't. We're obviously not allowed to. I've ordered a whole lot of literature. Ooh, hang on a second. Quickly to Main North Crossing if we can. It looks like there's going to be a crossing. Unfortunately, it's going to be at Main South, where we do not have a camera, which is deeply irritating. Anyway, there, if you look up at the top, just behind that vehicle, which of course is a game drive vehicle on holiday, there are a whole lot of game drive vehicle on holiday. Game drive vehicle full of people on holiday, there and another one, and they're all heading down towards a crossing point over here, where I think those wildebeest are coming down. Now that is very exciting. It's very early in the morning, But there is a crocodile there waiting, 2 crocodiles, 3 crocodiles you can see there waiting. We'll just keep an eye on that picture there. And a huge, huge pod of hippo just watching to see developments. This is very interesting. Philip, you say our hippo is part of the crocodile diet. No, Philip, almost never. Certainly a very large crocodile could be a threat to a very small hippo, but it happens very seldom indeed, because the big hippo, of course, are more than twice the size of even the heaviest crocodile. So a big hippo weighed 2.5 tons, 2,500 kilograms, pushing 3,000, at least pushing 6,000 pounds, whereas the biggest crocodile, I think on record, is about 1,600 pounds, maybe a bit bigger than that. Now, I'm very frustrated because we have a camera exactly opposite. You see those rocks there? There is a camera opposite that, but it has got some small glitch involved in its operation, which we will endeavour to fix today. But that is where I think that these wildebeest are thinking about coming down. Can you see them? Just long line of them over there. Excuse the slightly jerky movement of the camera. Now, a tool while we watch what can only be described as a rally move to get into position there. You want to know if the hippo ever get involved in the crossing. Yes, they do seem to. I've seen them. We were also, Steph and I were reading a little paper. Well, he was reading it to me. It was quite nice, actually. While I was doing bits and pieces, he was reading fascinating information about how hippo definitely take part in feeding on carcasses of various kinds. Probably not killing animals that try and cross the water, but they do feed on meat quite frequently. We've definitely seen them chase crocodiles. We've seen them get in amongst the migration. What they're doing in amongst it, I'm really not sure. But there is definitely a level of involvement. I think, I mean, I keep saying this, but I think they must find this migration time quite trying. Maybe it's exciting. You know, I liken it, while we wait for these hippo, for the wildebeest to perhaps come down, I liken it a little bit to my parents who live in a very sleepy seaside town, and while they love the peace of the year most of the time, they enjoy the 6 weeks of holiday fever that takes the place in December. And I think the hippo are probably quite similar. They enjoy the peace of the year normally, but the 6 weeks of migration mayhem that happen in this area are probably quite exciting. Alrighty, let's head across to Brent. Maybe he is heading towards Maine South, and he'll get a view of that big herd coming down to the water.
That's exactly what I'm doing. We're scooting past her. We've seen some buffaloes, some giraffes, some elephants, but I really want to get down towards Main Crossing. Who knows, maybe the Paradise Pride are there waiting for those wildebeest to cross. But it is a wonderfully chilly morning, and who knows what wonders await. I'm always excited to go on game drive, and it is one of the perks of doing what we do, and it is absolutely incredible. It still absolutely boggles my mind that we're able to take you on game drive in South Africa and Kenya at the same time. Marvelous, I say, marvelous. Now, while I'm scooting through this area, I am keeping a check out for black rhino. This is a very good area to spot black rhino. Alas, none this fine morning. Oh, there's an interesting vehicle that we're going to pass shortly. It's quite a big one. It is what we refer to in Africa as, not this little one coming now, but as an overland truck. Now, I will tell you a little bit about these once I've avoided the large diesel smoke fumes that are coming past. Hi, yes, bye, bye-bye. Now, those overland trucks run from Cape Town to Nairobi, throughout Africa, and people will travel on them and camp as they go. But growing up in Botswana, a lot of them used to come through Maun, and well, we've got a nickname for them. And quite often on those overland trucks, they can spend some days between decent ablution systems. So we used to, the nickname, and it's actually quite a common nickname, actually I haven't heard it in East Africa, but in Southern Africa, for the overlanders, the guests that are on those trucks, and we used to call them unwashables. They often used to go quite a long time between showers, and if you happen to bump into them at the supermarket on the edge of the Okavango Delta, you could quite often smell them in the next hour before you could see them. But there we go. But of course it is a wonderful experience, and you really do get to see a huge amount of Africa if you travel on one of those vehicles all the way from Cape Town to Kenya. Ginny in Virginia. Ginny would like to know, do any of the Land Rovers ever get damaged by the migration? Ginny, it is possible, specifically at night, if the herds are panicked by lions, that a poor wildebeest or zebra might run into the vehicle. But you can avoid that by just tapping on the side of the car just so they have a noise. But I was actually chatting to one of our rangers, George, on the other side, and he said he's even seen wildebeest run into a car during the day. But it sounds like James has got some action on the river cams.
Astonishing. Here we have a small group of wildebeest coming down from the completely opposite side of the river from the one that we were looking at earlier. You can see those cars in the background there. And these chaps look to be about to cross. I mean, I can't believe that it's this easy. Come on, chaps. Good luck. It's quite cold this morning, so I think with any luck those beastly crocodiles will be out of the way. Small group, I think. I don't think it's much bigger than the group that you can see there. It's not easy for them. Slippery and slidey in the rapids. Oh, it just looks so uncomfortable. Oof. And how they don't injure themselves badly, I don't know. Anyway, they're doing fine. They'll get across. Barring some severe mishap, they'll be fine. And I know to sensitive viewers who love... Ooh, there's a big crocodile just floating into shot there. Is he going to have a go? He seems to be struggling as much with the rapids as the others do. Oh, he's going to have a go at that little one. No, he's not. Come on, chaps, get out the water. Go on. You've done so well. Now, you see, I've seen crocodiles react much more enthusiastically to a potential crossing than that. And I wonder if the rapids and the temperature aren't having something to do with it. There we go, they've all made it across. Let's just have a look and see if there aren't any further ones here. There don't seem to be, and then we'll zoom back in towards where that other crossing is threatening to happen at Main South. Let me speed up the zoom a little bit. James, do you want to know if there are crossings that Thompson's gazelles will avoid due to the water currents? I'm not sure. I've certainly seen them cross at this very crossing, and I think this is the most, well, for them, they're out of their depths completely in a crossing like this. And, well, yeah, I doubt it, James. I think you might find that they prefer to swim than walk on the ground because they're so little, but of course that makes them extremely vulnerable. So let's watch during the season. We'll be able to figure that out if there are some that they do seem to avoid. Remember, the big herds of Thompson's gazelles still coming up behind the wildebeest, so they are going to take a little while to get here. I can't see anything further there. Let's just look up onto the bank, see if we can get through the, well, what can only be described as a, as Scott was saying, Monday morning traffic jam of vehicles. Let's see if we can't just look through. Yeah, there they are. And you see between those two cars, you can see a herd moving there. Now moving the other way, with any luck coming down towards the main north crossing, perhaps inspired by their friends who've just done it, who will go and say to them, "Fear not, fellows, come this way, we'll make it." although what reason they'll give for possibly trying to make it, well, that's anyone's guess. Marco, I agree with you. So the crossings need traffic lights. They need traffic lights, and what they most need, Marco, is somebody with a very large stick and the authority to beat imbeciles over the head with it, because the maniacal and hooligan behavior by the human beings at these crossings sometimes takes one's breath away. In fact, it was just yesterday that Scott Dyson saw somebody, and I make not this up, land an aeroplane on a road. In other words, they issued the airstrip and they landed on a road that was relatively straight. I mean, there's some serious cowboy behavior in this area. Right, let us head across to Brent. I would say he's probably about 10 minutes from getting to these crossing points.
Well, James is quite right. I'd say, yes, about 10 minutes to the crossings. So I'm going a little bit faster than I normally would if I was bumbling about. Of course, we want to get down there, see what's going on behind the river cam. So this is quite exciting. We're bypassing an area now called Technology. And I've been told the reason that this area is called Technology is because you weren't able to pass on this road during the wet season before. And what has happened is there's been a donation and sandbags were laid and then the road built on top of it. So it is an all-year-round road, whereas before it was only passable outside of the truly wet season. What do we got over there? One lone buffalo sticking out of the grass. We will keep moving. A very, very good question from David. Is it is something a lot of people wonder. Do a black rhino ever cross the river? Now, David, under normal circumstances, no. But they will cross the river when it is very low. But it is unusual. And what you'll find is normally... Sorry, sidetracked by what I thought was something, but is a bush. We have a zebra traffic jam. So what happens is that the only real time that you will find black rhinos really moving big distances and crossing rivers is particularly in the case of young males that have now got a little bit old, that the dominant male doesn't want to have them within their territory. And they will then cross. It is very unusual. Rhinos are not well known for swimming. They're quite good at sinking. But if there is a shallow section of a river, they will most definitely cross it. If the river is up and high, they will not. If we got some of the canoes that ran away or ran across the river yesterday, we've got a small group of canoes coming up. Not too many, so the crossings are just over there. Now, Michael's asked a question that I think many people have wondered for a very long time. And what dictates when they cross? I don't know, Michael, and I don't think they know either. So one will suddenly just decide it is time to go. Quite often, if zebra are around, the zebra will lead the crossing, but as we saw, there will be crossings with no zebra. Now, what dictates the crossings in total is the fact that they've utilized the majority of the grass on the other side of the river. Also, we've had good rain this side of the river, so what that has done is caused a little bit of comeuppance in the grass, and as you can see, we've already got some wildebeest here. Now, they are not part of, they could be very much well part of that very big herd that crossed yesterday and just split off. So just for the birders quickly while we're going, what dictates what they cross is the grass and the grazing available. So there we go. And now I know a few of you have seen this one before, but I'm sure some of you haven't got it for your Mara list. It is a beautiful little shrike, and it is a grey-backed fiscal shrike. Looking a little bit damp from the dew this morning, and all puffed up, and a bit chilly. Whoa! What's he got? Has he killed something? I stand corrected. It is not a grey-backed fiscal shrike. It is a normal fiscal shrike. I'm so used to seeing the greybacks. We see them more often than we see the standard fiscals, but this is a normal fiscal shrike. Had quite a strange name. Well, my grandfather, when he was bird watching, it is a relatively common bird throughout Africa. He is called a Jackie Hangman to the older generations in South Africa, and due to the fact that he will impale insects in a larder to feed on at a later stage. So it is not a grey-backed fiscal, it is a normal fiscal shrike. You can see that quite vicious little hooked beak for ripping apart bugs and other things that he'll catch. Okay, Mr. Fiscal, we got some wildebeest to find, but don't worry, birders out there, I will be stopping for birds when I see them. Good morning, Fuzzman Sparkles. Fuzzman Sparkles are active. What are the chances of seeing crowned eagles in the Mara? Quite good. I've actually seen them quite a few times around our camp. They're generally on the edge of the escarpment, but along the river there's a very good chance, and it is definitely one of those birds that is very high on my list to share with everyone. One of my favorite birds, the crowned eagle. Now, as a lot of you know, and for those of you who don't, who are recent to joining Safari Live, I had a very interesting childhood. I was very, very lucky in where and how I grew up. And speaking about crowned eagles, on our family farm in South Africa, we used to have quite a few nesting pairs. So I spent quite a lot of time watching them. And another bird that does occur along the escarpment that I've only seen once so far, that I know a lot of people will be very excited to see, is the Varro's eagle, or the black eagle. Now, my mother, can you believe, used to hand rear black eagles to be re-released into the wild. So in certain parts of South Africa, they are threatened, especially in the past where there was a lot of sort of bad use of different poisons and pesticides. Those affected the animals quite badly. So what happened in areas where they were safe, like our farm, the eagles practice Cain and Abel syndrome, or siblicide, where the firstborn will kill the secondborn. So the raptor watch group would use the mountaineers to remove that egg before it hatched, and before the firstborn was able to kill it, and then different people would raise that. My mother was one of those people. So we grew up with a black eagle in the garden being hand raised. Hello, chaps. There's some balloon guys. This is where they landed. This is the guys just tidying up afterwards, folding up the big balloon, and the tractor will be on its way to collect them. But what we do have here is some more gnus. Not a vast herd just yet. Just a few little gnus wandering down towards the river. While we do that, let's go back to Commander Bond, who's up high, watching the river.
I am watching the river and feeling, well, you know, watching water can often leave one feeling becalmed, but not this time, because the water is raging. There's a hippopotamus there, and, well, there's a crossing in the offing, isn't there? Just see him stick his head up, and let's in fact just get into that water, and you can see how, although from a distance it looks relatively gentle, you can see, well, if you're not heavy and you have not very grippy feet, it must be difficult to get across the rocks that are forming those rapids there. Now, Brent was saying he thought that that gave you the traditional answer for why these animals cross the river. And yes, it would seem to be for grazing, but yesterday we watched 1,000 wildebeest coming one way and then 1,000 going the other way, as if one group for some reason, had decided that the grass wasn't as green as perhaps everyone thought it was on the other side. And so I'm just not entirely convinced by the traditional explanations. There is something brewing here, and I'm going to ask that we try and get Brent down to that river crossing, this main south, so that we can plug a camera in and make sure that we've got a view of it. There's a buffalo, not a wildebeest, probably not going to cross the river, probably minding his own business, wondering what it is that is driving the frenetic activity of the vehicles either side. Hello, Akoda Karula, aged 9. You're wondering how long the wildebeest migration lasts. It lasts all the time. It never ends. It is a continuous movement of animals, but in this area, in this particular area, you'll find that by normally early October, the animals have gone back south into the Serengeti. But it can change. It really does depend on how much rainfall there is around the place, where the grass is good for grazing, and probably a whole lot of other things that we don't really understand yet. So it's entirely possible that it could end in this particular area before October, or perhaps it will end after October. We don't know. Yeah, Dan, I think it does. You say, well, how does it benefit the wildebeest, or does it benefit the wildebeest to cross over rocks and rapids? The benefit, Dan, is that they don't have to swim. And it means it's quite clear once you see, and if you keep watching, I think you will see this. Once you see the crocodiles having a go at the wildebeest and at the zebra and at the topi and at the Thompson's gazelles, you can see that they stand a chance where they're able to push off the floor. So when they can stand, when they can kick off the rocks, as opposed to try and tread water in the really deep water, then they have a chance of surviving these crossings. But the problem is that when they get out of their depth, the crocodiles immediately have the advantage. And so that is why I believe they choose these crossing points. I think that they are chosen for the steepness of the banks, or the lack thereof rather, and also for the shallowness of the water. The rocks bring with them obviously a number of dangers. They can slip, they could break and crack something, but we watched 1,000 cross the other day, didn't see one injured. I've no doubt there were a few injured, didn't see one drown either. So I think the deeper water, especially in the presence of crocodiles, is much more of a danger than the slicing action of these rocks. Alrighty, Brent Leo Smith, I think, has found a lioness who's doing exactly what we're doing, waiting for a crossing.
Jambo, habari. Welcome back, everyone. Sorry, we're live when I'm doing a live TV show.
Oh, it's live?
It's live, yeah. No problem. Okay, so there we go. We've got a single lioness. I have seen her before, and I think so has Scott. And she's missing the tip to her tail. Isn't she gorgeous? Now, she is heading down towards the Mara River. She is quite far from the crossings, but she does have a very full belly. Now, I think she might plonk exactly down in the long grass. So I know where she is. She's just on the banks of the Magoro River. So we might come back here. Now, she could be Magoro Pride. She could be Paradise. The lion dynamics in this area can be very, very complicated. So we are busy trying to work them out at the moment. But I'm going to keep heading on James's suggestion towards the main crossing. While we do that, Mr. Sarao has a large pachyderm for you.
All right, now we've been driving around looking for animals, and we had elephant tracks. We found the herd of elephant, and fortunately they seem to be moving further into the bush. I'm going to see if I can get a glimpse for you quickly. I'm just listening for a second. Hold on. Now, everyone, I can't see this elephant anymore. It's beautiful in yellow. So I'm just listening, but it sounds like the wild dogs have just come onto our property. And I'm just listening to the guys on the radio. They've crossed in from Arethu's side. Now we're right on the opposite side of Djuma at the moment. But as you know, a beautiful sight here that in Yala. As you know, the wild dogs cover huge distances very, very quickly. I'm going to see if I can get into that area. I'm not too sure which direction they're going. Let me see what I can find out quickly. See, maybe we can get a glimpse of wild dog this morning. That would be exciting. Rex and Byron. I've shared tax. Go ahead. I'm 4 and 5 at the moment. I'm Chitwa, but I'm heading down towards Gary Main. Okay, copy. I'll come along Gary Main. Maybe we get lucky and we get a view of them. Thank you. Alright, so it sounds like all the way along down Philemon's cut line and they're running south. I'm going to try and get into that area. Maybe we get a view of them. I'm not sure. They can change direction. Let's go back to Mara quickly while I do that.
Well, exciting prospects. Let's hope Byron manages to make it to those dogs in time. As you can see, we're also moving quite quickly. We're still trying to make our way towards the area where a coalition of 5 male cheetahs hang out. We're not sure exactly whereabouts they are today. We're just heading into that general area. But we've still got about, I'm guessing, another half an hour to get there, depending on whether they're on either side of a little riverbed that causes a little bit of trouble for us regarding crossing. You'll notice a whole bunch of sheep ahead of us. The local Maasai people are nomadic pastoralists, not as nomadic as they used to be, with healthcare and education and the changing world that we are living in. But we are on the outskirts of the reserve here. They like farming sheep like these, goats and cows. Those are the 3 main kinds of livestock that they farm. And in quite a few of the conservancies surrounding the Mara Reserve and the Mara Triangle, it's a combination basically between ranching and wildlife. So the local people will still have herds of goats and cows moving through wild areas with lion, leopard, cheetah all around them. But there's also planned grazing within those conservancies so that there's still enough food for the wildlife. So good balance, which means there's still space for wildlife and the humans to coexist. Jumbo Sana! Alright, well, exciting stuff today it sounds like, as Brent is approaching a river crossing.
That we are, and we're just coming down towards it now. I'm trying to have a look to the other side to see what's going on. I can see some wildebeest massing, but they're quite far from the river. What is going on? Well, let's get a bit closer and we can find out for sure. Now, there's a couple of hundred. Now, hello, Larissa. Larissa's wondering, are the wildebeest close to the Agama pride? Not yet, Larissa. They're still about 10 or 15 kilometers to the south. Now, what I think is happening here is the wildebeest are away from there, and I got a feeling the Paradise Pride is around, and that's what's causing the congregation of vehicles on the other side of the river. Judging from what I can see at the moment, to a better position.
Sorry about that, everybody. Brenty obviously just hitting a bit of a signal hole there. I think that this crossing has not turned out as everyone expected it to. I think it's dissipated slightly. Of course, this happens all the time. But I'm just watching as vehicles start to move off from where they were earlier. Brent was sorry, what were the Paradise Pride? Kirsten was just telling me. Brent thought all the vehicles were around because of the Paradise Pride. I would say that was true if we hadn't seen that very large herd of wildebeest behind them, all heading down towards the crossing point. So I don't think it was the lions. The lions could be there, though. Let's just wheel around a bit here. Yeah, I think, you know what I think's happened? I think these wildebeest have headed off down towards possibly even Dusty Crossing, which I'll just have a little scan around. Can we go back to Dusty? Dusty is now to the south of Main South. And if I swing around and zoom out a bit, oh, there's a nasty looking crocodile. Let's have a look at him quickly. He's rather big. Hello. You don't know I'm staring at you, do you? The other interesting thing that Steph told me about yesterday is that the head of that crocodile, you can see it's got a very round snout. When it's a youngster, it doesn't have a round snout. It's got a fairly sharp snout. And the bigger the head gets, the rounder it becomes, because the prey that it eats changes. So what is fascinating about that is that as the size increases, so the body has adapted to catching larger prey, and it gets a much wider back of the cranium, which in turn helps it to attach much larger muscles, which can help to take much larger prey. So that's quite interesting. Now, there is one that you see where those hippos are. If you were to go around the corner on this crossing, I know, sorry about the jerkiness of we're losing connection with it every so often. You go around the corner there, what you find is the south crossing. Okay, Brent has managed to find further lions. I'll keep an eye on the crossings.
Well, it is on the other side of the river, and as I said, I thought those vehicles might be congregating due to lion rather than wildebeest, and it could be Scar, but it's definitely one of the musketeers. Unfortunately, it is a bit far. Now, do remember there are lots of other game drive vehicles here, but let's see, where are you going? There he goes. Okay, I think I'm going to shoot around towards the other side of the crossing. We might get a better view from there. Well, there we go, he's out in the open. Now, there is a big herd of wildebeest behind there, and he was looking quite hungry when I could see his belly. Now, remember, any questions, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter if you want to get hold of us. Okay, let's keep moving. Hold on, isn't this exciting? Wildebeest, lions, crocodiles, it's all happening here on the murderous Mara River. Okay, so I can just see where that lion's heading, and as I say, who knows, we might even be lucky. Forget a wildebeest crossing, we might see a lion crossing. I haven't seen one of those yet here, and they do swim the river regularly. Just watching where he's off to. Oh, he's turned around, he's going back the opposite direction now. Let me just say, I think he's sniffing for ladies. So I'm just keeping an eye on him. Oh, he's giving a scent mark. Now he is quite far away, but hang on. Are those more? Wait, just give me a second while Andre focuses there. I'm just using my binoculars. Oh no, it is a lion rock. I thought I spotted another lion on this side of the river. There we go. Okay, let's get round to the next point that takes us down to the river. Now, we are heading downstream, so sort of southeast at the moment. Now, there we go. We can just make out the wildebeest. I'm going to just move around a little bit. in the distance. Behind him, he's not showing any interest in the wildebeest. Now, of course, there could be another group gathering at Dusty Crossing, or Vumbi. Vumbi Crossing, it is known in Swahili. Now, it is a bit confusing now that we have the musketeer cheetahs and the musketeer lions. So there's 5 musketeer cheetahs, and I know Scott's hot on the hunt for them this morning. And of course the lions, there are 4 musketeers. Now, he's walking behind these trees here. What I wanted to do was just to make sure that none of the ladies of the Paradise Pride were sleeping in these thickets, in these croton thickets along the river here. Now, of course, this is the Paradise's sort of grand scheme of things is while the migration is here, they hang around in these little thickets. Oh, look at that beastie. Now, he's obviously nice and full of wildebeest at the moment with a couple of crossings that are happening. That is a seriously large male crocodile. Oh, listen. I can hear lion contact calls on the other side of this croton thicket. Okay, well, Dina's wondering, would a crocodile ever go for something as large as a buffalo? A buffalo calf, or a buffalo that was injured, possibly, Dina, but I don't think a healthy adult buffalo bull, it would just be a bit too much for them. Okay, so I can hear lion contact calls. It could be him, but as I said, this is prime Paradise territory. So I just want to double check very carefully along these croton thickets. Oh, yay! There's a little bird on the ground here that is absolutely gorgeous. It is called a purple grenadier. Look at him, hello little one. Now, a grenadier is a relative to what in southern Africa we call a waxbill. And this is a purple grenadier. And as Kirsten in Final Control calls them, granadillas. Now, for those of you who don't know what granadillas is, because that's a very South African word, it is what we call passion fruit. So it's a purple passion fruit bird. Beautiful, beautiful little guys. And as the sun comes out, we might get some really good birds along the river while we wait for wildebeest to mass or the lions to chase them. I'm just trying to listen carefully again. Can hear some lesser striped swallows, that's about it. Let's move on a little bit. Oh, bye-bye, little grenadiers, so pretty. Let's just have a quick look for lions here. No, unfortunately not. So what we're going to do is going to send you back to Byron, who's searching for my favorite animal.
Now, we do have an update. They've crossed out of our property already. They were in Djuma for must have been 5 minutes, unfortunately. I'm in the area that they crossed, though, just having a look because basically what these wild dogs did was they ran east onto our side, onto Djuma, and then turned around and ran back west again. As I said to you, remember, they can cover a huge distance very quickly, and they change direction a lot. So maybe we're lucky and these dogs come back. I'm not too sure. I'm trying to listen actually if I can't hear anything, but unfortunately we just missed them. We passed a vehicle with some guests, and they said they got some nice videos for us if we wanted them. So maybe. But it just shows you how quickly those wild dogs can disappear. Looks like we're having one of those mornings again. Yesterday we were so fortunate. We had so much going on. But this morning, it seems like everything is just evading us slightly. But it's still early, so we're not going to give up just yet. We're going to drive around and see what else we can find. Maybe a leopard something pops up. Maybe those elephants come out of the bush. They moved away from us too. Doesn't look like we've got our lucky beans with us this morning just yet. Oh, it's a pity. We just missed those wild dogs, I think. But like I said, there is a chance that they could head back in this direction. We'll see. It's starting to warm up a little bit now. The sun is quite high in the sky, and it's starting to feel a lot better, because it is quite. It was quite chilly this morning. Sebastian was saying he was getting very cold. Alright, well, unfortunately that's the update on the wild dogs, but we'll see. We won't give up just yet. Let's head back to my friend Scott, who's still driving around the Mara.
Well, sorry to hear that the wild dogs evaded you guys and Byron. We thought we would stop off here and show you the difference between a Thompson's gazelle and a Grant's gazelle, as there were two that we can line up. So this is the Thompson's gazelle, which is smaller than the Grant's gazelle. Now, where did the Grant's gazelle go? Has it run off? Yes. Is it? I need my binoculars. Yes, there we go. That's better. With the two right next to one another now. So you can see the black stripe which runs along the abdomen of the Thompson's gazelle. The Grant's gazelle, which is larger than the Thompson's gazelle, you can see here now, clearly lacks that white stripe. They've also got a whiter bottom. So there's a great two shots of two similar gazelles that one could confuse with one another out here. And we were discussing this yesterday for any of you who were with us on, I think it was the Sunrise Safari. And they're enjoying nibbling on the short grass here. Also, they probably enjoy the vast open expanse, making it very difficult for any predators to sneak up on them. We're approaching an area called Double Crossing. There's a large ridge which you can see up towards where Dave is panning now. That's called Rhino Ridge over there. Quite a well-known area within the Mara. Obviously named Rhino Ridge because the black rhino enjoy browsing on all the vegetation up there. There's also a pride of lion called the Ridge Pride that moves through this area, and I'm fairly certain that those of you who were with us when we saw that massive lioness about a week ago, I'm fairly certain she is part of the Ridge Pride. Beautiful area, and we're going to have to continue pushing south in order to try and work out where these cheetah may be. Hello to Cricket. You've noticed that the grass here is very, very short, and yes, it is indeed. There would have been a lot more animals feeding in this area in order to make it so short, and it's probably much longer during better rainfall years. There is a drought in Kenya at the moment, and this area is obviously feeling the effects of that drought. But it is a wonder how the animals do find enough food even with this short grass. But despite it being yellow and very dry, there are little bits of green shoots coming through, and I think those just get nibbled up as soon as they pop out. I always find it fascinating how animals decide to be here as opposed to 3 or 4 kilometers over the hill where there could be more food. But I guess we can often liken our lives as humans to that of wild animals, and there's some people that live on this planet in far more favorable conditions than others, yet we are all the same species. Hello to David. You're interested to know if the gazelle species can interbreed. Not that I'm aware of, but it would be interesting if you mixed a gazelle like a springbuck from South Africa in an area like this where there are Thompson's gazelle and they're very similar in size, whether there could be any interbreeding. But usually in nature, any kind of interbreeding between subspecies is cancelled out because that youngster that may be born won't be able to breed. So it's not something that lasts very long. Oh, we've got some topi playing and they're doing it straight towards us. This is going to be so cool. Check this out. Awesome. They're just enjoying stretching their legs, and obviously maybe they survived a lion attack last night. You would think it was something big that they're celebrating. Did something try and attack you last night? Don't look so confused. Well, that was really cool. I've never seen topi actually pronking and playing like that. Let's hope they continue. The third one, there were 3 of them that we all saw. The third one's disappeared off into the distance. And these 2 now are wondering what their next move is going to be. Let me just swivel the vehicle a little bit, because if they do continue running in the direction they were, they're going to pop out of Darby's frame. But it appears they calmed down to a panic. And some zebra in the background. So these are males, and maybe they're just enjoying some time together, sizing one another up for possibly some more serious bouts in the future over the ladies. Beautiful. I love that charcoal burnt coloration on their rumps and shoulders. I also like the way they stand so proud. They've got a very good posture. The topi. Okay. Wunderbar. So yes, Dave, back to the interbreeding of gazelles. Not that I've ever heard of, at least certainly not between Thompson's and Grant's gazelle. I guess a lot of the time when you may have these interbreeding scenarios, it's where we have moved animals from one area where they didn't really naturally exist and mixed them with other animals that do occur naturally there, and that causes these inbreeding opportunities. But in a normal natural environment, that should all be taken care of by Mother Nature. Okay. We're going to be heading down towards an area called Double Crossing, and you are going to be heading down to one of the main crossings on the Mara River with Brent.
Well, we're on our way down towards Vumbi crossing at the moment. Vumbi is dusty in Swahili. Now, you can see there is a herd of wildebeest on the other side, but they are quite far from the river at the moment, and not too big, a couple of hundred. And there are some lions on the other side of the river. Unfortunately, at the moment, there's a lot of people enjoying. Oh, let me go forward a little bit. We might get a sneak preview of, I think it is definitely one of the musketeers, which I'm not sure, and there could be more than one, but he's sitting on top of a termite mound in the distance on the other side of the river. Now, what I was hoping is that there might be more of the Paradise Pride or another musketeer in this area, which is a very strong possibility. He's looking very regal. Oh, let's go see if we can find any of his friends. Now, Natalie is wondering if a lion crossing the river might be attacked by a crocodile. Most definitely. I have actually, in a few places, known big male lions to be eaten by crocodiles, and even in the Sabi Sands, on the Sand River. We lost a big male lion when I was working in that area to a crocodile. So it is very possible. Lions will definitely be eaten by crocodiles. So So we're just doing a quick skim past a dusty crossing. Not much happening, some impala on the other side, but the main reason I've come all the way down here is actually to take the little road that runs on the edge of the river and through the croton thickets. But let's have a quick look if there's any interesting birdies or crocodilians to see at the dusty crossing. Now I know you've seen yellow-billed stork already this morning with Jan, so I think I shall keep moving. Okay, here we go. So there's always a very good chance of finding Paradise Pride or musketeers in this particular area. Now there are other prides of lions that utilize the river further south. The Rongai Pride comes right down, and below the Rongai Pride you have the Purangat or Lookout Hill Pride. And of course, with the migration around, my goodness, that is an interesting contraption if I've ever seen one. Which is a tent atop a Land Cruiser. And hi! It's a very interesting contraption you have there. Yes, that is very, I've never seen that. I've been living in the bush my whole life. I've been working in the safari industry for my whole adult life, and I've never seen something like that. So that's the thing, you never know what you're going to see out here. Every day is an adventure. Now, the one thing that I'm thinking could be quite positive for the lions in this area is the fact that there almost always are topi and tommies in quite big numbers in between Picnic Crossing and Dusty. But there's only a few tommies here. There's a few more down there. But I'm just making sure that there aren't some paradise lions sleeping in one of these thickets. My plan from here is to head up the hill and head a bit further south to see if we can find any of those large herds that have crossed already. Now, while we're wandering down along here, a very warm welcome to Michelle, who's wondering which of the animals crossed the most successfully. Well, I would say the lucky ones, Michelle. I wouldn't say any of the species have particular success in avoiding predation over others. I think it all just depends on that particular crossing, and sometimes the fatigue on the individuals and or the sheer amount of individuals. So one would say you've always got to be very, very, very careful with statistics, because they can very much lead you down the garden path. So statistically, wildebeest definitely get eaten the most by the crocodiles at the crossings. But there are so many more wildebeest than a zebra or Thompson's or topi that are crossing. That means there will always be the most. Now, one of my favorite things is actually a thing from my dad, and you can prove that statistically diet soda makes you fat. And everyone goes, huh? Well, how is that possible? Well, because statistically fat people tend to drink diet sodas and other people don't. Therefore, statistically, diet sodas make you fat. So you got to be very careful with statistics. And so I wouldn't say there's any difference between who gets eaten the most, but obviously more wildebeest die than anything else, just based on the sheer fact that there are more wildebeest than anything else. Okay. Now, this is a very, very, very much a favorite spot for the Paradise Pride. I've found them here, I think, on at least 10 occasions on both sides of the river. So we're just going to go very slowly here. The first place I ever saw Scar was just on the other side of the river here.